Tyler Madden thought his life was beyond repair after a moment of reckless anger, but when he vandalized the car, he never imagined it would lead to an encounter that would change everything. The car, it turned out, belonged to none other than Keanu Reeves, and what happened next left Tyler questioning everything he thought he knew about redemption and second chances. Stick around to hear how one of Hollywood's most beloved actors helped turn a troubled teenager's life around in a way no one could have predicted. If you're hooked on stories of unexpected moments and life-changing encounters, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because tomorrow's story will take you even deeper into a world of shocking secrets and astonishing twists. It was a warm summer evening in Los Angeles, the kind of night where the city buzzed with energy, and the air carried the hum of endless possibilities. For 16-year-old Tyler Madden, however, it was a night charged with frustration and anger. His parents had been fighting again, his grades were slipping, and the weight of feeling invisible in a city so big was crushing him. He had a knack for getting into trouble, a reputation he both resented and leaned into. Tonight, trouble found him once again. Tyler wandered aimlessly through the upscale neighborhood of Beverly Hills, his battered skateboard clutched tightly in one hand. The streets here were pristine, lined with towering trees and gated mansions. It was a far cry from the cramped apartment he shared with his mom on the other side of the city. The gleaming luxury cars parked along the curbs only added to his bitterness. "Must be nice to have it all," he muttered under his breath as he stopped in front of a sleek black Porsche parked under the dim glow of a street lamp. The car was immaculate, shiny, spotless, and reeking of wealth. Tyler's jaw clenched. He hated people who flaunted their riches, people who didn't have to work for anything. And in that moment, he decided he needed to do something about it. Reaching into his backpack, Tyler pulled out a can of red spray paint he had swiped from a hardware store earlier that week. His heart raced as he shook the can, the rattle echoing in the stillness of the night. He felt a surge of adrenaline as he crouched by the car, ready to leave his mark on something he could never have. Tyler hesitated for only a second before spraying a long, jagged line across the car's side. Then he added more, a crude drawing, angry words, whatever came to mind. By the time he stepped back to admire his work, the Porsche was no longer a symbol of perfection but a chaotic canvas of rebellion. "Let's see how they like that," he muttered with a smirk. But as he turned to leave, something caught his eye, a glint of light reflecting off the license plate. Tyler glanced back, curious, and froze. His breath caught in his throat. The license plate read, "For RVR." It took a moment for it to register, but when it did, it hit him like a freight train. His legs gave out, and he collapsed onto the curb, staring at the plate in disbelief. He had seen those words before, in interviews, in articles, in viral stories. It was Keanu Reeves' car. Tyler's heart pounded as memories flooded his mind. He remembered reading about Keanu's beloved late best friend, River Phoenix, and how the actor had dedicated so much of his life to honoring him. That simple license plate wasn't just a vanity tag. It was a tribute to someone Keanu had loved deeply, someone he had lost too soon. "Oh no. Oh no, no, no," Tyler whispered, his voice trembling. Panic gripped him as he looked at the mess he had made, the bright red graffiti marring something so deeply personal. He felt like the worst person in the world. This wasn't just any car, it belonged to a man who was known for his kindness, humility, and generosity. And Tyler had destroyed it out of blind anger. For a moment, Tyler thought about running, about disappearing into the night, and pretending this never happened. But guilt weighed on him like a boulder, crushing any hope of escape. He couldn't walk away from this. He had to make it right, even if it meant facing the consequences. The next morning, Tyler stood outside a modest auto repair shop in Hollywood, clutching an envelope in his shaky hands. He had stayed up all night scraping together whatever cash he could, emptying his savings, selling some of his belongings, even borrowing money from a friend. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. The Porsche had been towed here early that morning, and Tyler knew he had one chance to fix his mistake. His palms were sweaty as he stepped inside, scanning the room for the man himself. And there he was, Keanu Reeves. Keanu was dressed casually in a black t-shirt and jeans, his long hair tucked behind his ears. He stood by the car, examining the damage with a calm expression that betrayed no anger. Tyler's stomach churned. He wanted to disappear, but he forced himself to take a step forward. "Mr. Reeves?" Tyler's voice cracked as he spoke. Keanu turned, his dark eyes meeting Tyler's. There was no judgment in his gaze, just curiosity. "Yeah?" he said, his tone gentle. Tyler swallowed hard, his throat dry. I did this," he confessed, gesturing to the car. His voice wavered, and tears pricked at the corners of his eyes. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was your car. I wasn't thinking. I was just so angry and I messed up." Keanu studied him for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Tyler braced himself for the yelling, the accusations, the punishment he knew he deserved. But instead, Keanu did something unexpected. He smiled. "Thank you for being honest," Keanu said, his voice steady and kind. "That takes a lot of courage." Tyler blinked, stunned. You're not mad?" Keanu shrugged, his smile softening. "It's just a car," he said. "Yeah, it has meaning to me, but at the end of the day, it's still just a thing. What matters is that you owned up to it. That says a lot about you." Tears spilled down Tyler's cheeks, and he quickly wiped them away, embarrassed. I brought this," he stammered, handing Keanu the envelope. "It's not much, but it's everything I have. I want to help pay for the repairs." Keanu opened the envelope and glanced at the cash inside. He closed it gently and handed it back to Tyler. "Keep it," he said. "Use it for something that'll make your life better." Tyler stared at him, speechless. "But why?" Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder, looking him in the eye. "Because I've been where you are," he said. "Lost, angry, feeling like the world's against you. But trust me, it gets better. You just have to find the right path." Those words hit Tyler harder than anything else ever had. He nodded, unable to speak, his heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and shame. As Keanu turned back to the car, Tyler made a silent vow to himself: he would change. He didn't know how yet, but he would find a way to turn his life around. And it would all start with this moment, with the kindness of a man who could have been angry but chose to be understanding instead. Years later, Tyler would tell the story to anyone who would listen, not to brag, but to share the lesson he had learned. That one night, that one mistake, had changed everything for him. And every time he saw a Porsche drive by or heard the name Keanu Reeves, he would smile, remembering the day he found forgiveness in the most unexpected place. Over the next few days, Tyler found himself replaying the encounter with Keanu Reeves over and over in his mind. It wasn't just the forgiveness that had left him shaken, it was the way Keanu had looked at him, not with pity, but with understanding. That look had told Tyler something he didn't realize he'd been desperate to hear: that he wasn't beyond saving. Tyler decided to start small. He apologized to his mom for the way he had been shutting her out. He helped clean their tiny apartment without being asked. And though he couldn't fix the arguments between his parents, he tried to be more patient, to keep himself out of trouble, to stop using anger as his shield. It wasn't easy, and he stumbled more than once, but the memory of Keanu's words kept him going. One afternoon, about a week after the incident, Tyler made a decision that surprised even himself. He returned to the auto repair shop where he had first confessed his wrongdoing. This time, he wasn't there to apologize or to beg for forgiveness, he was there to work. The shop's owner, a gruff man named Eddie, raised an eyebrow when Tyler walked in. "You again?" he grunted. "What's the problem this time?" "No problem," Tyler said quickly, shoving his hands into his pockets. I want to help. I don't have much money, but I can work. I can clean, sweep, run errands, whatever you need." Eddie leaned back in his chair, studying the boy in front of him. "This about the car?" Tyler nodded. "Yeah. I need to make it right." Tyler stammered, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Good. I've been working here. Trying to make up for, you know. Keanu glanced at Eddie, who gave a curt nod. The kid's been doing good, Eddie said gruffly. Got a solid work ethic. Not bad with a wrench either. Tyler's face lit up at the unexpected praise. Keanu smiled warmly. I'm glad to hear that, he said. You're putting in the effort. That's what matters. Keanu handed Eddie a set of keys and gestured to the car. I just need a quick tune-up, he said, then turned back to Tyler. Mind if I sit for a bit? Tyler nodded quickly, grabbing a couple of folding chairs and setting them up in the corner of the shop. As they sat, Keanu asked him about school, his family, and his plans for the future. Tyler hesitated, unsure of how to answer. I don't know, he admitted finally. I've never really thought about it. I guess I just figured, what's the point? But now, I don't know. I feel like maybe there could be something for me. If I try. Keanu's gaze softened, and he leaned forward. There's always a point, Tyler, he said. Tyler had saved every penny he earned, taking odd jobs and living frugally until he could afford to open his own business. One day, as he was finishing up paperwork at the front desk, a familiar black Porsche pulled into the lot. Tyler's heart skipped a beat as Keanu Reeves stepped out, looking as effortlessly cool as ever. Mr. Reeves! Tyler exclaimed, rushing to greet him. Keanu grinned. Hey, Tyler. Looks like you've come a long way. Tyler beamed with pride. Yeah, thanks to you. I don't think I'd be here if you hadn't given me a second chance. Keanu shook his head. You gave yourself that chance. I just reminded you that you deserved it. Tyler's chest tightened with emotion, but he managed to keep his composure. Still, I owe you. Anything you need, it's on the house. Keanu chuckled, patting him on the shoulder. I might take you up on that, he said, gesturing to the car. She's been making a weird noise lately. As they walked into the garage together, Tyler couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude, not just for Keanu's kindness, but for the journey that had led him here. That one mistake, that one moment of recklessness, had set him on a path he never could have imagined. And for the first time in his life, Tyler felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. As Tyler led Keanu into the garage, the hum of the shop filled the air, a mix of mechanical clatter and light banter among his team. It was a sound that had come to mean stability, growth, and hope to him. Tyler couldn't help but marvel at how far he had come, from a lost teenager who made the worst mistake of his life to a young man who had rebuilt his world, piece by piece. Keanu Reeves leaned casually against the workbench, watching as Tyler and one of his mechanics popped the hood of the black Porsche. There was an ease to the moment, a shared understanding that didn't require words. As Tyler worked, he spoke openly, as though years of pent-up thoughts were spilling out. You know, Tyler began, his voice steady but laced with emotion. When I vandalized your car that day, I thought I was beyond help. I was angry, lost. Breaking things felt like the only way to deal with everything falling apart in my life. Keanu, his dark eyes warm with empathy, nodded silently, encouraging Tyler to continue. But what you did? Tyler swallowed hard, his hands tightening on the wrench he was using. You didn't just let me off the hook. You looked at me like I mattered. Like I wasn't just some punk kid making bad choices. That look, those words, it was the first time I'd believed I could be better. Keanu smiled gently, crossing his arms as he listened. Everyone deserves a second chance, Tyler. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us of that. But you took that chance and ran with it. That's all you. Tyler hesitated, setting the wrench down and turning to face Keanu fully. His chest felt heavy with the weight of gratitude he had carried for years. I don't think I ever really said it, but thank you. For not calling the cops, for seeing something in me when I couldn't see it myself. You changed my life. Keanu reached out and clasped Tyler's shoulder. You don't need to thank me, he said softly. The only thing I did was give you the push you needed. The rest was all you. You turn things around because you're stronger than you gave yourself credit for. The sincerity in Keanu's voice hit Tyler like a wave, and for a moment, he had to blink back tears. He looked around at his shop, his team, and the life he had built. It was a life he wouldn't have dared to dream about back then. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garage, Keanu's Porsche was ready to go. Tyler handed him the keys, but Keanu paused before taking them. "How much do I owe you?" Keanu asked with a playful grin. Tyler smirked, shaking his head. "Nothing. Like I said, it's on the house. Call it a thank you for everything." Keanu laughed lightly, his warmth filling the room. "Fair enough," he said, taking the keys and giving Tyler a nod. "But if you ever need anything at all, you know where to find me." As Keanu drove away, Tyler stood in the lot, watching the Porsche disappear into the distance. He felt a profound sense of peace, the kind that came from knowing he had not only redeemed himself but had also grown into someone his younger self would never have recognized. Years ago, Tyler had vandalized that car out of anger and frustration, believing his life was a dead end. But now, that same car, that same moment, had led to a new beginning. It was proof that even the worst mistakes could become opportunities, that second chances could lead to extraordinary transformations. With a deep breath, Tyler turned back to his garage, where his team waited with the next project. Life wasn't perfect, but it was his, a life filled with purpose, hard work, and a future he had fought to claim. And he couldn't wait to see what came next. If this story touched your heart, we've got many more that will do the same. Click the screen to discover more tales of hope, compassion, and resilience that will inspire you.